everybody. Welcome to
Talk about balls dropping.
our favorite.
Why can't we ever get a clean intro on this
We
show?
get clean intros all the
I feel like
time.
we're laughing.
Bro, you ask why we can't get a clean intro. Look who our MC is.
Well,
I'd take that over the yelling, though.
yeah,
It wasn't that. It was a little squeaky, but we got here. And where are we? We're in Jenks number 1.
Jenks.
James.
I mean, okay. I'll take it.
So we got it's a little janky, but we got to Jane. His number 1 favorite movie of all
You'd be
time.
good. You'd be good to just move forward.
His number 1 favorite movie of all time.
What is it, Jake?
Jake, you're
Well,
Jake
we are
Moerdyke.
going crazy this week, guys. Literally, literally,
for watching.
yeah.
Like full bowl of Raisin Bran, crazy.
All over the floor, even. Such a dumb scene. I don't know.
We'll get to it. What is the movie, Jake? Not that they don't already know.
Oh, yeah. Didn't we introduce it last week?
Well, also the thumbnail. When you click on today's episode, it's
They know
gonna
what they
say-
clicked on. What is it, Jake?
You guys, it's Silver Linings Playbook. My favorite movie of all time. And even watching it again, I will stand by this.
That's good.
As I don't know if you inferred it, but you know that my favorite movie year is 2012, at least as far as the Oscars go. This was a big one for 2012. Would you say like nearly everyone in the cast got nominated for some Oscar?
I was looking it up while I was watching it, and yeah, they all at least got nominations.
And
It was the first movie to get a nomination in all 4 acting categories since, I think, Reds in 81.
Really?
And then David O. Russell, the director, did it again the following year with American Hustle. Like, it was a feat that hadn't been done in like 30 years.
see, but
That's such an
it's
interesting
like the
stat.
same cast too. Well, not.
It wasn't
really
the same ones. In that case, it was Christian Bale and Amy Adams for lead, and then J. Law and Bradley Cooper for supporting.
That's such an interesting stat. I did not know that.
But anyway,
Good for David O. Russell.
yeah, I just wish he'd have made a better movie in American Hustle.
I wish he didn't do
He
dumb
kind
stuff.
Of fell off the map a little bit.
I mean, he made a movie this year.
Oh, yeah.
Amsterdam.
That's
Oh.
with Taylor Swift. Wasn't she in that?
She's in it for a little bit. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He's also, not to go too deep into it, he's had some personal life things that are very ugh, and it's not saying they have happened. Certain allegations of stuff that are not cool. You can look it up because I'm not going to do it service, but I will also say there are clips of him being a little baby to people on sets. Like there's the infamous him screaming at Lily Tomlin on the set of I Heart Huckabees, just acting like. That's the thing.
David,
I am not
what are
a
you
big
doing?
fan of him as a person from what I've heard and read. And for the movies I've seen like 4 of his movies, I think. And it's like, yeah, this one is probably my favorite. There's also The Fighter, I Heart Huckabees that I've seen, Three Kings, American Hustle, but not a giant fan of the dude.
The only other movie that I've seen of his is American Hustle. And when I walked out of the theater, I enjoyed it. But
What?
Was it him or Danny Boyle that did Sunshine?
That's Danny Boyle.
Okay. I
But
get that
Jake-
too. Oh, so the reason this is my favorite movie of all time is in 2012, I was relatively... What?
Sad. We've said this
I was...
about every episode of ones that are like college and post-college Jake, pre-married Jake is just, Jake was sad. Sorry to cut you off, but I was just waiting for you to say, 2012 Jake was sad.
Yes. But I was doing this thing where I would go to work, and then I'd get off of work about 1 or 2 and go to the movie theater, the Greenville NCG Cinema. And I would be able to see a movie and get like a large popcorn for like $12.
oh man, that's
Those are
great.
now
Those
$12
were
is
the-
like a matinee
that's just
price
a
for
movie.
the ticket.
Yeah.
But I saw this, and I think it was after it got nominated that I saw it, or I don't know who recommended it to me, if I saw an ad for it on TV or something like that. When I saw it, I I related to the character of Pat so hard that by the end of the movie, and yes, it was because Jennifer Lawrence is pretty a bit, but it was also more than that.
Also, so is Bradley Cooper. That is a pretty man.
I like it when he has longer hair better myself, but whatever.
That's fair.
Regardless, by the end of the movie, I was like rocking back and forth in the chair in the fetal position because I felt this movie in my soul. And whether that means my life was chaos at the time or because I know what it's like to focus on something to the point, to hyperfixate on something to the point where so much of life goes right by you, and I just felt that in my soul. On this rewatch, it changed a little bit for me because instead of just the one character, I watched it and I said, I recognize this in my life so much. Like, I recognize a lot of my family dynamic in their family dynamic. Maybe not abusive quite like that, or gambling. I've never been medicated like the character of Pat was, but I have people in my family that have, and I recognize how he was acting as it relates to my family members acting in that manner, and my having to take care of them in a manner that his mom had to take care of him. Like, it's a whole thing, and I have a lot of respect for how it is handled.
I feel like they handled just all of that really respectfully and just very carefully. Like, they didn't.
I do like the fact that they didn't glorify him going off of his meds as a thing that you should do. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of a thing that they talk about, but then he decides that to get a hold of this, he needs to take his meds again. And then that's the last you hear of it.
Undiagnosed bipolar, they say, right?
Yeah. Or
I mean, at that point, I think it would have been diagnosed.
I think that's what his doctor.
It's what his doctor said. Like, that he grew up with. Like, that's why he's having those manic episodes. Mm-hmm. Oh, and just to clarify, no, I don't relate to it in the violence piece of it. Violence is not cool. It will never be cool. That's all.
Also, I love the fact that this. I'm not saying it focuses around it, but it's football, and the Eagles are obviously a major part of this movie. And I just, as somebody who is a diehard fanatic of another NFL team, the Lions, I feel it. I definitely feel it. I understand they're going crazy for their team.
Yeah, it takes place during the 2008 Eagles season.
Andy Reid was coach. There's so many things that timestamp this movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing they do a good job of, placing this in a specific point in time. Even
and yet
just
it still sort of feels timeless.
Yeah, I feel like the conflicts in it feel timeless, but I'm thinking of the set design and the way their house just looks and feels. It feels like 2008. Like, it feels like I lived through that.
Oh, look at the phone.
The phone.
My favorite.
Phones and the little. What did they call it? What was the name of it? The little camera. It was vertical, but it was a horizontal screen,
It's a flip camera.
Because
I had one of those.
I had one too.
Yeah, when they brought it, I was like, holy crap! I had one of those cameras. I love that thing with my life. I actually just found it recently. I found my old flip camera buried in a cabinet, so I want to put some AA batteries and see what's still on it.
I think mine was rechargeable.
Oh, nice.
But I found it the other year, and it's broken because the USB ports on my computer at the time were vertical, so it was hanging.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
that's why usually I think there's the cord you could get.
I don't think at the time I got mine there was.
There was not one for me either.
But the cord would, the thing would go outside, and then you'd plug the cord in.
Yeah.
So I feel like I had that because we had them in school. So that would have been 2010, 2011 when I used it.
Yeah, those things are great.
But
Here we go.
Here we go.
I did almost say that.
Yes, you did.
Gross. I feel like Dickey.
Yeah. It's contagious.
It really is.
You're going to catch the Dickey. That was weird.
That's what she said.
See, I don't know what was worse, what you said or how you said it. There's timbre to your voice. So it was just like, we catch that Dickey. I don't know how to explain it. It was like this thin scrim of disgust over it. And so like you were like deviously like into it, but also like knowing how gross it is mixed in one. It was like this concoction of ugh.
That's someone who knows something's bad but wants it so much.
Catch that Dickey.
I believe.
2008. Also, remember they're like, "Oh, wait, you're gonna love this. Look at this," and they put their iPod onto that port. It's like you could play music in any room in the house. I'm like, yeah, now we got Google Home and stuff, so all we have to do is just.
I never knew anyone with ports in their walls like that.
Yeah,
that was pretty impressive. Honestly,
Except
really
for that,
cool.
I think the next year they changed the size of the port that charged it.
Because that's probably the extra wide one, right? Mm-hmm. Then they change it to the slim one.
Yep.
Man, those ports used to be really wide. I know. Like I remember having one of those touchscreen Nanos that were the size of a shuffle. Yeah. And the plug was still that long. It was as long as the thing.
Remember when they used U2 to advertise those things?
It wasn't the small. They had the U2 ones, the black ones.
Yeah, I had one. I had one of those.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah. Those were good ones. Yeah, I don't even remember where I got.
I think I used that my whole college career. My phone doesn't even last me 5 years. I'm pretty sure if I charged it, that iPod would still.
Those iPods are tanks. Those are the best.
And yet, it's not touchscreens, so if I were to try to go back and use it, I would hate it.
Yeah, you use the old wheel, baby.
And then they had it vibrate, so it felt tactile.
Yeah. The good old days.
That was a good age.
Yeah. Back to this, though, 2008. And I remember I was like, okay, because they mentioned Deshaun Jackson constantly because he has the jersey and the whole...
Deshaun Jackson is the man.
He's the man. The one they always mention, the 1 yard line. They fumbled at the 1 yard line. You fumbled at the 1 yard line. Like, it's just like making those correlations. It's like, I remember that play where he's all by himself and just drops the ball right before he crosses the goal line. And it's like, oh. You want to talk about just completely, like, letting your team down by showboating before you've scored.
Yeah.
Because that, like, no matter how good of a deep threat he was and the speed he had in his prime, he's going to be remembered for that. And he's going to be remembered for that walk-off punt return against the Giants where he muffed the punt, went back and got it, and then just ran straight up through the blockers and scored. And then it cuts to Tom Coughlin on the sideline just going crazy mad. Because that's where they punted with like 10 seconds left. And then the Eagles, Miracle at the Meadowlands 2 or whatever they call it.
Was that a playoff game or something?
No, I think it might have even been this season for all I know. I didn't look into that part. I'm just remembering it. There was an error. I have to bring this up because I was talking to Jake about it. And it wasn't now, if they don't get the scores right, it's whatever. But they get the scores wrong at 2 different points in the movie for the same game.
Really?
So I remember he's going to go out running, and his dad is just like, come on, we're killing the Seahawks, 27-10. Just watch the game. Watch the game. And I'm thinking, okay, if that is not the correct score of what the real thing is, whatever.
Oh, it's
a thing.
A small detail.
Yeah, and it's based off a book, so it's probably, it's wrong in the book somehow.
Oh, this is based off a book?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's another one of those ones. Sorry, go ahead.
And the second half of it. Later, when Jennifer Lawrence is going through her whole spiel of every time he's with me, this happens. She says the score was 14-7. Now, within the world of the movie, that can't make sense because De Niro said before the end of that game it was 27-10. And Jennifer Lawrence said it was 14-7. And it's like, okay, you just said that was the end score, but already both teams had more points than that when De Niro's talking. And in actuality, the real game was 26-7.
Huh.
So, if you get the real score wrong, I guess. But then it was like, that's weird that he would say this score and she would say a completely different score later when it's like the pinnacle scene of the whole movie.
Yeah, so because it's the pinnacle scene of the whole movie, I sort of think you're focusing on the wrong thing. But
oh, you sort of think?
I don't know.
In fact, I think that you've diverged into not talking about Silver Linings Playbook territory here, as opposed. Now we're just talking sports.
The point being, when you have a scene that is completely revolving around sports scores and statistics in that sense, you have to do your homework. Like, you have to make sure you get this right, because the whole point is she researched into this, she knows what she's talking about, and she's proving a point. But when it's wrong, it's like, but they said it was something else earlier in the movie. I don't care if it's right to what actually happened. I'll just buy that it's some weird alternate universe, but that's not even the same score that he said earlier within the movie.
Let me say this to you as a person who pays attention to things in the background. Did you recognize that was a continuity error?
Nope.
You're also asking someone that functions on 35% of his brain capacity.
Yeah, I'm also asking someone that focuses on statistics of sports.
Who?
You.
Yeah, and what did I say?
99% of the audience watching this movie is not going to give two.
How many people watching this movie even know anything about how sports works?
That's true as well.
I was just saying, I picked it, I was like, that's weird. I feel like that's a weird oversight to not even have, it's a continuity thing within the movie. I just thought it was funny. Yeah.
It is kind of funny.
Yeah. I also remember this movie being a big sleeper hit. I think it has some record for, like, most weeks in the top 10 for not hitting number 1. Like, it was never a giant hit, but it just kept making money every week. I remember every week I'd check.
Kind of like Elemental.
Yeah, that kind of, it started really bad and then picked up steam, whereas this just decent start. It's, $21 million budget for, rom-com with some big names.
Bad, actually.
What was the end budget?
$236.
Wow.
So it made a profit, and it's because it had staying power. And that was before it was nominated, even, I believe.
That's probably why they gave him money to make American Hustle.
100%. Yeah.
Came out in November. So it just kept getting there. And then once it got nominated in January, they keep it in theaters, and it's just making money. Kind of like another Bradley Cooper movie that kind of did that is Star is Born.
Oh. Yeah.
No, American Sniper did very well.
Yeah.
That's like the highest grossing movie domestically in January ever.
Yeah, I think it is.
Something like that. But Star is Born opened pretty well. It opened the same weekend as Venom. So Venom made the bulk of the money, but Star is Born made a decent chunk.
It's good
and then every week it just kept making a similar, decent intake, and it just stayed. I feel like when we were working there, it was there for like 3 or 4 months. It just stayed.
Seen that.
Really? You haven't seen
the new
that?
one? No.
It's really
It's good. It's the 3rd best adaptation.
I can't say because I haven't seen any other adaptation.
I personally like the 30s one the best, but I think the 50s one with Judy Garland is probably the best version of that story. I have not seen it since high school, and it is a long movie. It's like 170 minutes or something like that. I'm probably wrong on that, but it's over two. It's over 2.5, I believe.
Lordy, that's a long movie.
Yeah, and it's very, just like the other versions, it's very sad. The only version I've not seen is the 70s Streisand one, because I hear it's not great.
Yeah, you just generally
and it's also
don't
long.
like by Barbara Streisand.
It's fine.
Oh, you did just watch a movie with her the other day, too.
What one?
Oh, wait, she's not
No, she's in the second one.
That's
I know
right.
what you're talking about. I want to hear you say it.
I was going to say Meet the Parents, but she's...
Nope. She's Ben Stiller's mom.
Yeah.
With Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
In the second one and probably third. I don't know. I watched Meet the Parents the other day for the first time.
That's a fun.
I had never seen it. It's fun, yeah.
Never seen it either.
But back to Silver Linings. I do remember it came out. I heard about it. I was like, okay, some recognizable names. Oh, there's that girl from Hunger Games who's terrible. Oh, she's so bad in Hunger Games.
Well,
I'm gonna push off talking about her specifically in this movie because I want to talk. I want to talk more positives for this.
You went from from being very quiet on the mic to peaking it. I don't know what changed.
Just brings
but
I fixed my cord. Hopefully, how am I looking?
You're still peaking it.
Interesting.
And I as an overall ranking, I have it as negative 36 dB.
How about this?
I'm gonna go ahead and turn you down just
then
a
I'll move this
skosh.
It's the Jennifer Lawrence. It's a really brings.
I mean, like he does legitimately. What your points about her are legitimate, but he legitimately does not like her.
No. We're gonna push that back.
Okay.
Do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about my experience watching it this time now?
Yes, we should go into. I'm going to try to stay positive for the first section of this because I do believe it is a good movie and I like a lot of things about it. But negativity bias.
Oh yeah, there are definitely. It's my favorite movie of all time. I think I give it high marks at least.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. So this time watching, like I said, I related to the whole dynamic thing. To start the sort of slow decline into this here. One of the things that was different for me was something that this man has torn the veil on for me.
What's the start of this journey?
What
year? It was back in 2012,
was it? Winter's Bone was the start of this journey?
I feel like we talked about this when it came out because you loved it, and I was like, yeah, I like it. I don't like her in this, and you're like,
I was like, no, she's good. You're good. And like, was it Hunger Games?
Didn't she win
Hunger
for
Games.
this movie?
Yes, she did.
That's what I thought.
Pushing it back. But I will say, I think when I to not cut you off, but to mini tangent, when I did YouTube for a second and was talking about Best Picture nominees, and I watched Winter's Bone, and I'd seen it twice at that point. I don't think it's very good. I don't think she's very good in that movie at all. And that was kind of the start of it for you. And I did cover that in like 2016.
And I gotta say, I held out for a while, and
Probably
it wasn't
about 3 or 4 years.
It wasn't until
3 or 4 years after the Winter's Bone thing, but that would have been about 6, 7, 8 years after this came out.
When did 2020? I think was the year it just broke for me.
8 years. He made it 8 years on the
Don't Look?
train.
It was Don't Look Up, and that was in 2020.
That's 2021.
And it's 2021, so it was 9 years. I watched Don't Look Up, and she's in it, and I don't know what it was.
What's your quote?
I don't remember. It's like
she has the emotional range
of a stiff fish.
Of a fish. Not even just. She has the emotional range of a fish.
She plays the same character in every maybe
Which
the expect
is not a terrible thing for an actor, but it has to be a good, compelling, or memorable persona, and I don't think she's really any of those.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna push this up because I have some points to make about her character.
I'm trying not to say it now. I'm trying to talk more about the movie.
All you guys are doing is bringing up Jennifer Lawrence.
I know.
Well, because that's the thing I don't like about it now. And yes, she's still very pretty, and I'm sure a very nice person, and whatever. But we'll push off what we think about her character for a while here. So what I like about this, this is Bradley Cooper's best performance.
Oh, easily,
hands down.
He's great in this.
He is so convincing, and I don't even know how to describe it. He's captivating. I just don't even. The mom is too. Everyone really is, except even. I used to think that was it Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker.
He's a weird character.
It's a weird addition, and I used to think that it kind of broke the illusion of the movie every time he's in there. This time I didn't feel it so much.
I didn't either. He was in it more than I remembered.
I don't know if it's just me looking at it with older eyes. It just felt more natural and kind of like a driving force for why Pat's brain works the way it does right at that moment. It just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't. That being said, I really do believe that Bradley Cooper is one of my favorite actors. You know, I love his performance in American Sniper. His cameo in D&D is one of the funniest parts of that movie.
Also,
he's tiny.
Great.
Even though the man is huge.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So, spoilers for Silver Linings Playbook. When she is running away from the dance competition after they do the dance and everything and she blows up at him, there's a scene where it's just a shot of her walking away and you hear, "Hey!" And I go, when did Rocket get here?
I will say, I completely agree with you that I think Bradley Cooper, he is severely under. I feel like everybody looks at him and thinks about Rocket Raccoon or thinks about maybe like The Hangover and stuff like that. But I feel like
I don't even remember him in The Hangover. I know he was.
Yeah.
But like when I
because he's the one that yells, "Paging Doctor," that word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, ooh.
It's definitely aged like milk, but
I mean, like the first one is still
it's entertaining.
Yeah, it's
entertaining.
Fun. It's a fun movie.
I don't think the other two are even.
Never bothered.
The second one is a copy paste of the first
Just
script,
in
swapped out with
Thailand,
Timeland. Yep.
And the third one, they don't even get hung over, from what I hear.
I don't remember that. I never saw the third one, so I don't even know.
Also, it's one of those things where it's like it's clever the first time you watch it because you don't know what to look for, but when you watch it a second time, it's like, you know, this whole thing is like you could have solved it
It's a simple.
It is pretty funny though that he's
It
just
also-
on the roof. That is funny.
Yeah.
I do think that's funny.
It also might not age well considering the happenings at the Cecil Hotel. I don't remember where it is in relationship to each other time-wise, but
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I just thought about that when we were going through this.
Interesting connection.
Yeah.
But yeah. So regardless, I was just saying, like, I feel like everybody thinks of Cooper as those silly ones, but like he's been killing it, especially with this. Like his dramatic roles are top tier. I would easily put him in my like top like 7 or 8 actors
I mean,
of all time.
in a lot of dramatic roles that he gets nominated in, I feel like that he gets put in, the movie itself at least gets nominated. Like A Star Is Born got nominated, did it not?
Yep.
I'm excited to see. I guess I'm trying to remember. I haven't seen it because it hasn't came out yet, depending on when this drops. But his new movie Maestro looks really interesting, and I think that's his directorial debut as well.
No. He directed A Star Is Born.
I am
Maybe
wrong.
I need to see A Star Is Born.
It is really good.
It's sad.
It's devastating.
And then it's less sad when you watch the Honest trailer and they make a very, very funny joke that's like a joke I'm talking about.
I don't know if I've seen the Honest trailer for
I
this.
can't say it's a spoiler, but it's also like they said it and I lost
Does it have something to do with the garage?
Don't spoil anything.
That's not spoiling anything.
You're
That's
getting
saying,
close.
Well, I'm not gonna say what happens. I just saying the garage.
Now I know that there's a garage in this movie.
But your problem is you get too close. Because then when things get close to the details, he's going to know when something's up. Don't even get close.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you when you're older. But yeah, it'll be his second movie. But Bradley Cooper has been on a good run for the last decade.
He has.
Really good run. He's also Nightmare Alley's another
Yeah.
Yeah.
performance.
I forgot about that
He
one.
was. Oh my god, that's one of my. That is. God, I love GDT. That's such a good movie.
Oh, Guillermo del Toro.
I guess
I was like,
shortened his name.
GDT. That's not PTA.
I was gonna say the long name.
Yeah. This is also De Niro's best performance at this point in probably like a decade.
He's
Because he
great.
kind of
coming off of Meet the Parents.
Was this right after that? Like,
No, it wasn't.
Meet the Parents
Right.
is like 2004.
Oh, okay.
Or Meet the Parents 2000. Meet the Fockers is their name. Is 04, and I think Little Fockers is like 10 or 07 somewhere.
Yeah,
the
'cause
point
that's
being,
when De Niro had his weird like stretch of movies that he just didn't care about.
it's like you hit the late 90s into the early 2000s. He began this like comedy arc where he's in, and it started with like Analyze This is one of them. I feel like where all of a sudden he's just in these lighter comedy roles. Even if he's playing a more aggressive type that he always is, like he starts being in these roles. And the quality's not always there. Not saying he isn't in good movies in that decade, but it's just that's kind of where the direction went. And then you get to this, and it's like he's finally in something where it feels like he's actually showing off his chops again. Mm-hmm. And he's really good in this. You can't help but feel for him. Apparently, when he teared up during the "I Just Want to Spend Time with You" scene, that was not scripted. The tearing up,
really?
That was actually him getting emotional.
Wow.
Because that's the whole thing where it's like Pat's sleeping and his dad wakes him up and is saying like, I want to connect with you. I want you to watch the game with you. I want to spend time with you because I feel like growing up, I didn't spend any time with you because I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to deal. I don't want to say deal with you. That's kind of how he said it.
Yeah, but yeah.
He wasn't sure of how to parent a kid with undiagnosed bipolar, so he spent all the time with the older brother.
And that scene that you mentioned, it's just. It feels so honest, and it just like it.
The whole movie just feels so real.
Yeah, like it's like actual conversations you can see actually happening, and it's just elevated because every single person that's acting in this is A++ talent.
Well, I mean, it's like speaking from my own life, that whole sequence. What?
He gave me a look when I said.
I didn't give you a look. I gave the camera a look. Go ahead, Jake.
I can't wait to see it.
Didn't need to throw you off your role there.
What was I saying?
Honesty.
Yeah, I mean, like even like one of the hardest scenes for me to watch is what is the song?
That one.
No.
When De Niro starts whacking him.
Oh, well, yeah, the lead up to that when he's looking for it and he has this, like, it's this simple thing, but he starts having this meltdown.
Oh, is that when he was looking for his...
the wedding.
Yeah.
I say wedding ring. I meant that wedding video.
Yeah.
I can relate. I relate to it hard that like, it's not a psychotic break, but it's similar to that because he can't control himself.
It's this ultra high hyperfixation on one thing, and it's I cannot function without finding this one thing. Where is it? I need it now. I need this to calm
I can
something.
relate to that feeling, not escalating to the point where I am either beating up my mother or my father, or they are beating up me. But in that kind of chaos causing arena, I can pinpoint times in my life that has happened.
Just where you're, not to get too specific, you're kind of fixated on something, and you need that to like fix something, a tick in your head, and then there's some miscommunication, and was there yelling?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, so it's just between the two or three of it, and you're just like, I just need this one thing, and the others are trying to calm you down. Like, I am calm, I just need this one thing.
What was the...
But you don't throw books out the window when you don't like the ending.
That was so funny.
What
That
the?
was.
And then he's talking.
It's so true about Ernest Hemingway, though.
Pat, you realize it's 3 a.m. or whatever. And he's like, yeah, but it's just this Hemingway guy. But he doesn't stop there. And he does this. And I'm like, I can relate to that.
Oh, me too. Are you kidding me? The amount of times, because, like, really quick, I work midnight, so I have to stay up late and watch movies at times while Sam is sleeping. The amount of times I want to barge into that room and say, you're not going to believe what I just had to... I relate. Oh, my God, that one hit me.
It's just such a well-rounded, nuanced character because he is likable, but you can see the flaws.
Yes.
But you can also understand because he has, a mental illness. Mm-hmm. But also you can see the development there and you literally see how he functions and how certain things work and how he can flip on an instant over one little thing, the song being the trigger. It's My Chérie Amour is the song, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I think, because there's a couple, I think there's 2 Stevie Wonder songs in
I remember the first time I saw,
okay, that is
right.
one. Okay.
I remember the first time I saw this, I didn't get that the doctor put that song on intentionally. Like, even though the movie tells you it, it was chaotic enough to where I didn't catch on.
Ever happened before when watching movies, Jake?
What?
When something's told to you and you looked away for a second.
Yeah. If you're talking about Oppenheimer, that is not my fault. There was
2 moments.
There were
that told
other
you.
things happening.
That was the first time you watched it too, though. So
it's just he has this knack for looking away or looking down or tuning out at the very moment something important happens, and then when he snaps in a second later, he's missed it.
To be fair, with a Nolan film, I was trying to be smarter than the film.
It makes sense why it happened. I was saying it is funny how you pick the perfect moment to tune out.
I will also say about the doctor playing that song, I'm not going to lie, I feel like that's a dick move.
I was waiting for him to say that.
I feel like that's unethical at best.
That's incredibly unethical.
I'm going to see if this thing still triggers you.
That's a horrible thing.
Instead of bringing them in your office and saying, okay, we need to test this, I'm going to put this on.
Yeah.
That can be one of those moments, we'll get to one later, where it does feel a little more Oscar baity of we need Pat to have a freak out in this office to make the audience feel uncomfortable, and then instantly he flips I'm sorry to gain sympathy. So it's like into a oh. It's it feels not, I don't want to say super manipulative, but it is kind of why wouldn't the doctor just come and say, let's see if this still triggers you? Or he just goes in there, he's in a more controlled space and starts playing it. It is kind of on the ethical side, yes, but for the movie's sake, we're doing this to get a good yell scene.
I do not feel like that is an egregious.
Oh no, it's
not
fine.
Not in some other instances in this movie.
We'll get
there. The other thing I noticed, this is the first time I noticed, and I've seen it probably 4 times now, at least, is in the penultimate. I don't know that I call it the climax scene. When after she gets through explaining about how much better the Eagles have done when she's been around him, and he leaves because he didn't want to have any part of it. He reads the letter at the stairs, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. He reads the letter at the stairs. He catches on that she wrote the letter, right? So I caught that part. What I didn't put together in my head until this time is they're talking about lying to him about Nikki going to be there. He now knows that she wrote the letter. So therefore, I personally believe that he is smart enough to put together they're lying about this. So for this week, he has gone about lying back, double lying to them.
He is willfully going with it because he has bought into it and he's happy and he likes her, and that's why he wrote the letter.
Yes.
Right after he figured that out.
Which I think that gives it more depth.
It does.
Than what I originally thought it happened.
And I wouldn't call her homework scene, we'll call it. I did a little homework. I wouldn't call it the climax. The climax is the dance.
Okay.
I would say
I feel like that's the
the
emotional climax of the movie.
And I didn't want to jump away if there's anything else to say, but about that dance scene, I love the fact that they went for that big move and they messed it up. Because that just makes it feel so much more realistic. And I know this movie's been feeling realistic all the way through, but like
that dance was bad. I am not a trained dancer.
They had to win.
Oh, I know. It's like, I'm not a trained dancer. I don't know, but like watching, it's like, I would not give that a 4 point something. I give that lower. That was partly dance and mostly them just shaking to White Stripes.
That part was fun to watch.
Oh, it's fun, but it's like they're not really doing their
middle
dance
school
anymore.
dance-ish.
Yeah.
So then again, why would we give this half score when it's not even half dancing? It's like a third dance. I give it a 3.
Well, that's why you're not a judge.
But that moment when they get it and the dancers next to them kind of have a oh, and then like a pity. But then, they're all yelling, and it's like that's fun.
So, I want to ask you a question.
Proceed.
And this is not going to get into the thing we're pushing off yet. This is just kind of a thing I've been kicking around in my head with a couple of the movies that I've been watching recently. So going back to Elemental, one of the things that you said you had a problem with was how quickly the dad switches back.
Yeah.
When she messes up or when Wayne messes up. They pivot pretty quickly in this movie.
Who specifically?
Specifically Jennifer Lawrence's character. Like, she goes from being mad at him to, okay, I'm dancing, and then back to mad.
She also is probably also bipolar.
Well.
So there's that. Plus also, the part we're pushing off can be a whole thing about lack of nuance.
You want to push out, or how you keep pushing back to Jennifer Lawrence?
We just want to stay positive about it until we can't anymore.
I'm trying to stay positive because it is a good movie. The one big bad of it that I see as a flaw or just underwhelming doesn't keep it from being a good movie. Mm-hmm. I think it keeps it from being a great movie. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to not have the negativity bias. Here we are spending the positive time talking about why I'm not being negative.
Yeah,
that's my thing. When the mental illness is at the forefront of the plot like that for multiple characters, okay. I think that explains it better. Because she's supposed to be unpredictable.
Okay.
And Pat is also unpredictable. And him not having a filter is really funny also. Just, just like, yep, funny. It's okay, I won't bring it up. So who was it?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Or when he keeps bringing up her dead husband. Like that makes
that is such a...
That is so confusing. He's dead.
I know.
I bet you we all know people that have no filters around us where it's like...
I think I'm looking at one.
I have a filter.
Not a very good one.
I still have one. Someone has a dead family member that's recent. I'm not going to bring it up. If they bring it up, I'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss," and then that's really all I'm going to say. I'm not going to keep bringing it up.
Okay.
It's a low pass filter.
A what?
A
low pass filter is still a
the gate is really low on his.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but we know people who have no filter and they'll say anything, and it's like, you absolutely cannot say that. Okay, and then the second you tell them that.
Oh yeah, I think
so. It's almost like you can't say anything, but then if you can't say anything, they're going to bring it up anyway. Mm-hmm. So the best thing to do is to lock them in a closet.
Obviously, that's the
No. If literature has taught me anything, it's in an underground cellar, chained to the basement.
Underground closet.
One of your favorite shows of all time did that trope.
Oh, Lost?
Smallville.
Oh. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. I remember the Hatch and Wasp.
The dude that pushes Lana into the grave. Because he gets super strong when he gets in the sunlight.
I don't remember. I started watching Smallville in 2018, and I'm in season 2.
You're doing great, Jared.
Meanwhile, he has watched the entirety of
multiple shows.
King of the Hill.
Multiple shows in that span. Probably about 20 shows in that span in full.
Regardless.
Which isn't that much. I don't watch much TV.
Yeah, you don't like TV that much, do you? You love TV, which is funny
absolutely
because
do.
it took you 2 years to watch Chernobyl.
It did, yeah.
Which is 5 episodes.
Which is a great show now that I've seen.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Craig Mason is
That dude can write.
chef's kiss. I don't know, chef's makeout. Anyway.
Didn't he also write The Hangover?
Yes, he
There you go.
did.
He did.
It's all cyclical.
Look, we worked our way back to Bradley Cooper. Let's go.
Yeah, I just noticed that about that whole letter moment
And I'm glad
this time.
because as soon as she gave him the letter, the first thing that crossed my mind was that she probably was the one that
This isn't the first time you've seen this.
quick story. I've seen this movie once before, but I was incredibly inebriated on a couple different things, so I didn't remember.
Oh, that
it.
story. That's right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I didn't remember it, clearly.
So it's like, I've seen this, but I don't remember anything.
Yes.
And
so
then this time I was like, okay, this looks familiar.
Yeah, it's like I definitely remember watching this, but none of the connections in my brain were there. So it was on this watch. I definitely the fact that, like I said, that's the first thing that I saw was I'm like, oh yeah, she definitely actually wrote that, and I love the way the letters worked.
That's another thing I will say about the first time I watched it is this is kind of like my turning point, like the start my film bro phase before I became like a. Well, I mean, would you not agree with that?
Yeah, there's always that. I was going to bring that up at some point, like the different stages of movie watching, where some people stay in a certain stage, but it's like you have your childhood stage, and that's what you grow up with. And then somewhere in like high school or college, if you don't just go into like a one phase you live the rest of your life in, you kind of go into like this, a lot of us, a film bro stage. Like you start it's a discovery phase, we'll call it. That's better, because not everyone gets into the film bro stuff where you're now almost an adult or are an adult, and you're going out and you're seeking out things, and you're like, this is a real movie, you get into it. And then that next phase is kind of like, what is the adult phase? What are you going to watch? What is like your taste that you're just going to kind of look at for maybe not the rest of your life, but the bulk of your life? Those are kind of like those three stages that a lot of us go through. So this is your discovery phase, brought on probably by Drew in college.
Well, I was just going to say, like a recurring character on our podcast, Drew, I don't know where I would be movie-wise would it not have been for his influence. But this specifically was kind of in that film, bro. Like, I was hanging out with a lot of people that like to talk about Christopher Nolan a lot. And, I mean, you know who they are.
Oh, yeah, I was there too.
That's true. So, like, the part of the police officer that kept threatening him to bring him back to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at that going, I bet you they're going to turn this around and he's going to be, like, mentally ill and it's going to be really cool. And then they didn't do it. And watching it again, I'm very glad they didn't do that. That would have undercut that movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, in fact, I don't even know that character, except for the fact that maybe he's in the book, would be necessary to the storyline. Because he's not really... he's kind of a guardrail for Pat, but not.
He's kind of got to be there to keep him in check in a couple scenes. The last time
But
I
he doesn't
remember
really
seeing him
do that.
is outside the movie theaters, like the big one where he goes from being like this character that reels him into being a creep. Because he realizes who Jennifer Lawrence's character is, and he makes that pass. I was like,
Yeah, that was real.
And that was his buddy's wife.
His dead buddy's wife.
Yeah.
And it's been like a year.
Has it even been a year?
Or that it's
I
like,
thought it was like 9 months or 8 months or something.
I think I out loud
around
went,
a year.
"Ugh." Dude.
But
no.
again, it's not a thing that hurts the movie at all. It just kind of is a thing.
Yeah.
Are we ready to
Yeah.
stop kicking the can down the road?
Yeah.
Really quick, I have one more thing that I can, if you want to kick it just a little bit further. I want to go really quick touch back to, I know we talked a lot about the football in the beginning. I love the scene where they're at the tailgate and he sees his therapist, and just for a minute they're like, I like, they know they're doctor-patient, so they should, like, do we keep on this, like, doctor-patient relationship? No, screw it. We're all here for the Eagles. We're all here to have fun.
Because Deshaun Jackson's the man.
Yeah, and I just appreciate that. At the end of the day, you can just turn to a sport and just say someone that you don't like, someone that you do like, and whatever, you can just have fun with them. And I think that's important for...
Speaking as a person that, at least in 2012, didn't really like sports, that used to be my least favorite sequence of the movie.
Oh, really?
Like, I felt like it was super awkward and stupid, and I didn't understand it. I understand it now. I understand its point and placement, and it's part of it is that, part of it is service to the plot, but part of it is also, I think, Pat realizing that his doctor is human too.
Yes.
Like, his doctor is a normal person, and having had several moments like that with different people in my life, even just this year, I feel like I've gained a more relatable stance towards that.
So let's talk about the big bad of the movie, as I like to say.
J-Law, baby.
So this is the start of the rise to superstardom for Jennifer Lawrence, because in 2012, both The Hunger Games and Silver Linings.
It was 2012 The Hunger Games came out?
Yep.
Okay, before we start on this, can I just clarify one really thing? What we're about to say, well, what I am about to try to make clear is I don't think that she is awful in this movie. But
I think she's good.
I think that it is her best performance of what we have from her.
That's a good way to put it. Back to it.
Yep.
This is when she shot to superstardom. Her breakout role, all others say, is Winter's Bone, where she doesn't do anything and doesn't really move the plot except get in the way, and then it solves itself.
Do people really say Winter's Bone is her breakout role?
I think so. Yeah, nominated for that.
I would say Hunger Games too.
Breakout doesn't necessarily mean big. Breakout means like you have become noticed.
It's
because I bet you Hunger Games she gets cast because of Winter's Bone.
Well,
2 years before. Winter's Bone is the breakout performance.
Let's be real here, though. I mean, more people watch Hunger Games than Winter's Bone.
Breakout doesn't mean big. Breakout means recognized.
So then,
she gets recognized for Winter's Bone when they're casting for Hunger Games.
And so her big break would be Hunger Games.
So then Hunger Games is where she gets the big movie, but not the breakthrough or the breakout. Breakout performance is Winter's Bone. That's the first dot on the map. Because then 2 years later, it's Hunger Games and Silver Linings in the same year. So it's a very good year for her. She's in a she's in a crappy dystopian movie and then a good movie. I hate Hunger Games.
I would say the second Hunger Games is probably the best.
That is what everyone says.
Yeah.
The consensus is everyone likes the second one. They're lukewarm to the first, and I've never heard anyone like the last two.
No. What about the new one?
We're going to find out.
Well, it's out at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? Let's everybody say, ugh.
The point being, this is her big year. She wins the Oscar for this. She stole it from Emmanuel Riva. I'm still mad about it. She should have won for more. Not that she had the most going for it. It's just that's like a career performance that caps off this long career. And
you do love that movie too.
It's so good. It's so sad.
Sad is happy for deep people. You know what that's from.
So this is kind of the start of it, and to give background as to my dislike of just her and her acting, I remember someone asked me to go see a movie with them and a group of people that summer, and I said, "Oh, what movie?" And they said Hunger Games, and the only time I'd ever heard of it was the books, in which I knew nothing about them. Someone just said,
Good books.
I hear decent things, so it's like, oh, there are these books called The Hunger Games. They're getting pretty big. They're selling a lot, but I didn't hear what it was about, and that was a year or two before. So then it's oh, there's a movie of this. I go, okay, what's it about? And they explain the plot, and I right away, even though I hadn't seen the movie, was aware of it. That sounds like Battle Royale, the Japanese movie from 2000. And they're like, what's that? And I go, whatever.
That tracks.
Because Battle Royale is very influential. So many, like everything has been taken from that kind of that thing. That's just kind of how it works. That's how popular and influential it is. But it literally feels like an American ripoff of it, and it's way, way worse. Battle Royale is really good. So I go, okay, sure. And I'm watching this movie. I'm sitting there in the theater. I'd never heard of Jennifer Lawrence. And I'm watching this and going, who is this main character? She's terrible. I'm just sitting there like, no, unbiased. Like, this is like the stiffest, most nothing performance I've seen in a while. Not that it's like it's the worst thing ever, but I'm just kind of like, this is kind of a nothing character in a pretty bland performance in a pretty annoying movie. I don't like that movie at all.
I can tell.
So then I hear, she's later in the year, she's in this movie with Bradley Cooper, and then I'm like, how old is she? Which at that point she's like 22.
Yeah.
But it's still like she's in this teen dystopian sci-fi earlier in the year. It's like I thought she was younger than that, so it's weird to see her with people that are much older.
Can I interject as someone who has read those books, and I don't really like them, so you say that she is pretty stiff, and I now would agree with you, but I will also, to her credit, say that Katniss as a character is stiff and annoying.
That's what I've heard.
Like, she's written to be that way. Why she has to be that way, I don't know, but
she was my character.
just to give some levity to this and not be completely negative.
So I went into this. I saw this in theaters with my sister, and I remember going into it kind of like, I don't really like her. I don't like dislike her. Just kind of like, but okay. And outside of the one scene we'll discuss, I was like, it's fine. It's a good movie. I really like it. She's probably my least favorite part, but and then when she got nominated, it was like, okay, whatever. I just hope she doesn't win.
Isn't this the year she tripped up the stage too?
That was that year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
because she'd won, and then she tripped going up the stairs, and I think I did a Homer Simpson. Ha! Take that. That's dumb 18-year-old who was mad that someone who shouldn't have won. So still stand by it.
You had no idea what was to come, did you?
I still her only win.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
I think before we get into the discussion about the scene that we're talking about, I feel a need to interject just because it's my favorite movie. Yeah. I would agree with you. This time in particular, how do I put this? I put it really well when we were talking about it the other day. I think that I do not think that this character is bad. I think that Jennifer Lawrence does not give enough nuance to this character because she's so stiff and the reaction is so devoid of energy. And I'm not
too much in the worst way in certain moments.
Yes, which you could argue is the possibility of bipolarism.
Yeah, which I don't know much about.
I have no idea about any of that, so I'm not going to try to speak to that. Just from looking at from what I know, like that first scene that she comes in when they're
at the dinner.
Yeah, and it changes the movie, and it's supposed
instantly.
To, but like
she came in hot.
That she did.
And he noticed.
And I.
It's always awkward in movies when it's like that. It's like the eyes are moving around. You're like, dude, I know, but no.
But I still feel like there's not any like even, and it does get better over the course of the movie. I think it kind of works like this, like it's okay, and then it gets better for about 20 minutes, and then it comes to the apex of the plot, and then it just like goes back.
But I think the strong suit of at least her in this movie is her chemistry with Bradley Cooper. That she's obviously.
Yeah, I think that the scene in front of the movie theater is actually, if she could have played the character that way the entire movie, I think it probably would have been good.
There's a look on her face. I'll give her this. There's a look on her face when she sees him triggered, and she flips to bail him out because she realizes, oh, this dude's not just being a jerk. There is something, like, I don't want to say something wrong, like something's up. Mm-hmm. And that's one moment when I first saw it too, I was like, okay, I like what the scene is going for. I think it's not handled super well when she's like, oh no, it was a kid. Oh no, it was a kid. Like that. And I was like, that's how you're going to play this out? I like what you're doing, and I like the facial expression. I don't know about the delivery of this. It's just kind of like, oh, yeah, it's kids. It's our fault. And I was like, I think there's a better way to do this.
Yeah, or like
something. It's not that the suddenness hurts.
Right before the build up to that moment where he's triggered, where he's assaulting him, like she's just screaming,
and it's really annoying.
Like I get it, like,
and she's not good at that in any of her
yeah,
movies.
like I don't want to say that that's not how a woman should react if they are actually being assaulted, but I just don't know how to. I just wish it was more nuanced than what it is.
Yeah.
And again, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's the part of the movie that I like the least now.
But it comes after. Now we can talk about the worst scene of the movie that actually has interesting pieces to it.
I would say that if it were not for what you're about to talk about, that scene would be
one of the better ones.
Incredibly good.
It's the diner scene right before that outside the movie theater. You remember that?
Really? That's your most hated scene? Oh,
if anything screams Oscar bait, give me my Oscar, it's that.
Yeah, that was kind
it's
of
the worst part of the movie.
It doesn't get annoying until she flips out, though.
And I think
like,
it starts
the scene is good.
We should build up to that moment, I think.
Yeah.
Talk about what it is. One, him sitting down and they go on a date and he gets cereal.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a weird choice.
It makes sense
because he sees it as Nikki if Nikki catches wind of this, and there's a high chance that she could, because this is the sister of Nikki's best friend.
Well, that's true, because at that point in the movie, he still is.
Yeah, so he's so hyper fixated on Nikki that he feels like if Nikki gets a hold of this, or if I start to feel something, this is going to cascade, and I'm not going to get what I want. So because he puts up a wall for himself. Like, he is actually, if you look at that movie, he is actually pretty good at putting up guardrails for himself. The problem is that those guardrails are not going to lead him anywhere.
Absolutely. That's a really good way to put it.
And he put up the wall because he was instantly attracted to her. And I think it wasn't the date, was him trying to like prove, oh, I don't like her. But all it did the opposite.
Yeah.
So that's why him ordering like the Raisin Bran, it's like him trying to push her away to kind of prove, oh yeah, this I don't like this person. So him ordering that cereal, bad first move, bad date move. You don't go on a date. One, he didn't even dress up. She did. And they go to a diner.
Was he wearing the trash bag? No.
Yeah, he was wearing the jersey again, wasn't he? I can't remember.
No, I feel like he had a hoodie on.
Or something. Like, he's very casual, and she's dressed up. He gets cereal, so she gets tea. And then, like, he wants to leave, and she didn't even finish her tea or something. And they're having a conversation where she's talking about how she got fired by sleeping with everyone in the workplace, and she's doing this because in the aftermath of her husband's death, this is how she is coping with it.
Yeah.
And it's a very destructive, negative thing. But also, it sounds like she may have been fired for the wrong reason. You know what I mean? Kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Ostracized?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's nuance there, and that's rooted in the story more than the performance, I'll say. So when you're listening, you're like, okay, this is interesting. He's actually getting into it, not only because he's horny, because he's, away for 8 months, but also there's an interest there. And she does call him out. Saying like, oh, you didn't care until I start bringing up all this stuff for your fantasies or whatever she says. And I go, that's a good thing in the story. Call him out for that because it's true. But again, the nuance on him is so good. But then, like, when she gets all pissy with him, she starts doing that terrible J-Law laugh that I hate so much. And it's like, you sound like the kid from Barnyard. Like that kind of thing. It's like, ugh, like this time I knew it was coming. I forgot about the laugh. I remember the scream and the throwing everything off the booth table or whatever. I forgot about the laugh. And as she's laughing, I bet you I'm sitting there going like, ugh.
It's so over the top.
It's goofy in the wrong way because it's okay to have that when a character is slipping out, but she's not very convincing. In that kind of way, it's like this just doesn't feel authentic to
I think the argument would be that he triggered her in a similar way that he got triggered, because the idea is that they're both these chaotic, messed up people, and they find a way to love each other through that chaos, and that's really beautiful. But they're like it's almost like there are pieces of it missing that give us context for her character. Like, it's almost like Pat and his family were so good that they kind of overshadow the ability to understand the other one.
I was going to kind of get into that. So, I mean, for anybody that's acting on the opposite side of Bradley Cooper is going to have a hard time because
Robert De Niro.
Yeah, because they were mostly Cooper just because she has more interactions with him. Just he is so talented in his portrayal of his character. Anybody trying to like add their own, that's a hard bar to stand up to. So I will say, just to give her a little bit of slack, that's a very difficult screen partner to have. And I think for the most part, though, she does have great chemistry with him. But I do agree with you guys that it's
also a very difficult character, which then comes down to casting. I think someone else should have been cast. Does it make the movie better? It's a big what if. Mm-hmm. This is the movie we got, and it is a good movie. You live with what I consider the biggest flaw, and it's still good. It's just one of those, there's probably people that can pull this off better. It makes it different, though, so who knows if the end product is better. I will say that, but that scene is just
else that could play that role.
It's hard to see it now that she portrayed.
Now that it's been like that, shoot, that movie's 11 years old.
Yeah.
That feels weird to say. That's my big thing about that scene. That scene kind of epitomizes my problem with her in the movie. And I just think there's just not much to it for her performance because the character is good, but she's just.
Then you look at the dancing scenes, like with them like learning how to dance with each other, and I loved.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. It's funny because I read that because she's supposed to be the experienced dancer, quote unquote. She's like, I'm okay. He's a beginner, and neither of them were experienced dancers, and he was picking it up faster than her, so he had to dumb down. Bradley Cooper had to dumb down.
Really?
I think they said
That's
he was picking it up better than she was. It's just a funny reversal of what was actually happening. But, I mean, they do pull it off like, yeah, they're not great at this, but it's a thing to work on, a thing to focus on, because him doing it is very good for him. And I like how he steps out when they make it about a bet, because it's like, I don't want any part of this. I was doing this for me, and now you made it about football and money. I don't want any part of this.
Yeah. I hope this movie is also a lesson as to why you should not get overly into football or just gambling. Like, when his dad, listen, his dad put all of the money for the restaurant on a bet.
It's funny how they act
with
like
a
this
parlay,
is just,
yeah.
It's funny how they act like it's just a normal thing. This is just his job.
Like, oh my God, that gave me so much stress. I was stressed out.
I also really love the end scene where she opens his letter and reads it. And like that,
what's it? I think I have it pulled up. I love you. I knew it the minute I met you. I'm sorry it took so long for me to catch up. I just got stuck.
That's the Harry Met Sally. Well, that's not right. It's not the right movie. Shoot. Is it Harry Met Sally? The big speech to the girl in the baseball field.
The baseball field?
I think that's what.
Harry Met Sally's at a New Year's Eve party, I know.
That's it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, when he finally says something to her. Mm-hmm. That's a good movie.
Never seen it. Familiar with the scene. Yeah. Never seen it.
Yeah, you should. It's good. You've seen it, right?
No, I've never seen it either. Yeah.
It's good.
I've seen the cafe scene that everyone talks about, but that's about it.
See, for me, it's that end speech that everyone talks about.
The I'll have what she's having is the big line.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that scene too, but that end I really like. Despite everything that would weigh bad against the movie for me, like J Law's performance, like that end is just I get a little teared up every time.
It's elation at they won the bet, and then it drops back down because she runs out and he makes the very good, mature decision to let Nikki go, and that's what she thanks him in the moment, right?
I don't know. I was wondering what he was saying to her.
I know we're not supposed to hear it, but we kind of get the idea of he is letting go. We know it, and then he runs back after, says the speech, and that is a good ending.
I do like that they kept that in the dark, that we didn't hear what he actually said. I think that just makes it more powerful.
And it makes you understand why Jennifer Lawrence walked out.
Yeah.
Oh, it made perfect sense why she ran out, because they just did this thing, and the second he can walk over to his ex-wife, he does. because that's the thing he's been fixated on, and she felt she was getting him away from that, and then he goes, right, he's just...
Also, guys, I want to point out, this is a Christmas movie. A big chunk of it takes place at Christmas. Christmas time.
Christmas time.
The last third of it.
I would say it's Christmas. It's like a holiday movie.
Yeah, because the end of the movie's on the 28th.
Yeah.
Dickie, you got to understand my criteria for being a Christmas movie. It's just that it has a scene in Christmas.
So
the French Connection, where Gene Hackman is the Salvation Army Santa at the very beginning to catch the guy. They're automatically a Christmas movie to Jake. Even
Oppenheimer was a Christmas movie. I told you that already.
So
he was Jewish, though. He didn't celebrate Christmas.
No, it makes it funny.
Or he could have celebrated Christmas.
I didn't know he was Jewish, remember? So at the moment, it didn't matter to me.
2 moments in that movie, back-to-back scenes, to tell us his whole reasoning, and Jake missed it.
I was trying to outthink Christopher Nolan. That's my fault for going to see one of his movies.
Outthink Christopher Nolan. Nobody can outthink Christopher.
I'm sure someone at some point, because he spent a half hour trying to explain to us how you move forward through time by moving backwards, and backwards through time by moving forwards. But everybody it looks normal. Blue and red and patches.
I think it's
I think I just broke my brain.
Yeah, let's not talk about that anymore.
Any more thoughts on Jake's number 1 pick? We finally got into the end of the list.
I really, genuinely, and truly love this. This is one of those movies I saw, and that weekend I think I went to Detroit and made Drew go see it.
This is that movie. It's like instantly like, this is it. This is the movie I've been looking for my whole life.
I think at that time, I had never felt so emotionally connected to a movie. Like, viscerally.
There are often, unless you're people who put a bunch of, like, super recent stuff in continuously, that's not a dig at you. There are people that you'll get their favorites, and it's like something that came out a year ago, and there's like 5 of them in their top 10. It's like, oh, that's fine, but you just like the most recent things that...
I mean, like recency bias is a thing. It's legitimate, but it's a thing.
But without spoiling, there is one of my picks that, while it is a decade old, when I saw it the first time, I knew it was one of my favorites. It's like, it's that same moment of that. We're not going to spoil it here, but it is like
the one I'm thinking of?
Probably. But it is like this is going up there. I already know it. Like before the movie's even done, you feel it. And you hit the end. Okay, you hit the end, and then you go, "Yup."
This is where I get into. I know. Typically, I know that I'm gonna really love a movie if I hate it in the middle.
That's right.
It's so
such a
weird.
Weird thing to
do. Like
do.
Slumdog Millionaire, I hated in like the middle act of it, but by the end I was like, "That's really good." Actually, like it's so weird. It's almost like it's this thing where it's like I don't know where it's going because I've never seen it before, and because I don't know where it's going, I get frustrated or something. I don't understand.
That's interesting, yeah.
But you had said multiple times because of, we'll call it the Looper syndrome. It just that changed and it broke you. In every movie, you'd tell me, "What if I don't like it the same?" And I'm like, "It's going to be fine." And then we get to it's like I know because there's the big thing about her, and I'm not gonna like this as much. And I'm like, it's gonna be fine. Just watch the movie and see what you think. And it was nice to hear your thoughts saying this is my favorite movie. Mm-hmm. You doubled down because you do love it that much.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that too because if you watched our video last week, or whenever we did it, I don't know when this is posting.
Last week we were with Drew, remember?
Yeah, for Scott Pilgrim, right?
Yeah,
because that's my number 2.
Yep.
So it's a toss-up between those two, generally. This time I landed on Silver Linings, Scott Pilgrim. They're very, very, very different movies, I think, obviously.
Are they close for those top 2 spots?
They are very close. If you talk to me on the right day, I would probably say Scott Pilgrim, because that's a movie I can just sit down and watch and just...
Yeah, one is the super rewatchable, and the other one is the super emotional.
Yeah.
And emotion usually trumps the rewatchable, because rewatch is a level of comfort, emotional is a level of connection.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm glad it's still your favorite movie. I was a little nervous. I make it seem like it, but I was like, I really hope he does, because that one pick broke him. I just want him to be
one pick though out of all 10.
But all it takes is one domino.
But it was like pretty low on the list too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was like 4, it's like, okay, maybe this is just, I haven't seen this in a while, and, I got this far. But it's like number 7 or 8
No,
or
it was
something.
8.
Yeah, it's like lower on the list. So it's like,
It was before Lord of the Rings, I think.
It was. Yeah, I remember.
So that would have made it 9.
It was 9. Yeah, Looper was 9.
Yeah, so my 9th favorite movie I ended up not liking and probably wouldn't even put on that list anymore. And the rest, I have to go through the rest of them being like, is this not what I thought it was? Because a lot of these, like, not all of them, but like a lot of them come from quite a while ago. Like, they're not like classic movies that I found a number of years ago, like a lot of yours are, and they're not fairly recent ones like yours, or a lot of yours are.
Although I think we did the math on the re-release
here we go.
dates.
He's going to rub it in.
And yours.
That's because
out.
you have 2 in the 70s.
Just saying. Just saying.
What's the second one?
Sorry, 1 in the 70s, 1 in the 80s.
He's got 3 in the 80s.
Really?
Empire, Raiders,
Shining.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just saying. Just saying. You knock at me for
You
liking...
picked a movie from 2019.
He picked 2 movies from 2019.
Yes, I did.
Both good movies.
Yeah.
We're not arguing that.
There's nothing wrong
Well, Jake,
with your top 10.
Jake, just like you said, when you watch a movie, like when you watch something that you connect with that hard, you know.
Well, I'm not saying that that's wrong for you. I'm just saying it's not... Your movies seem like a set of movies that you watch more often.
They are that magical balance of both. You know how you broke it down between like rewatchability and emotional. Like I picked
Comfort
ones,
and connection. Maybe that is good. Comfort and connection.
I picked the ones that smack dab right in the middle. Like
And that's fair. But I feel like because of that, what I'm saying is I feel like a chunk of my top 10, not all of them, obviously, are not ones that you watch every year.
No, yeah, that is correct.
And so it's been almost 5 or 6 years since I've watched any of them.
Yeah, and my upcoming list too, there's gaps, significant gaps for watching some of them, just because time. So
yeah, that's right. Because after this, we are officially on to
almost.
The
We'll
old
make
person's
the
top
announcement in
10.
a second of what's next to finish out the year. So
yeah.
Any
anything else about
before I share that schedule?
I believe we are going to rock on to the last person's top 10 favorite movies.
Yep.
Actually, I think next for the end of the year,
Yep, that's what I was going to do now.
there's a gap between.
That's right,
Yep.
there is.
So there are 3 weeks left in the year for our releases. We are going to be covering our favorite adaptations of A Christmas Carol leading up to the end of the year. And when we start the new year, it'll be the start of my list. So just so we can start fresh in the new year and do some holiday content, we'll each be watching a different version of A Christmas Carol. We are starting with Jake's, which is the 2019 miniseries of A Christmas Carol.
Which,
So.
I mean, you could say it's not a movie, but it's
not,
also...
I didn't
it's
say
also,
movie. I said adaptation.
It's also on Hulu as a single piece.
Yeah.
So,
But still,
yeah.
it's more interesting than
There's
watching.
a lot of people that don't like it. It's interesting.
I've never
I'm
seen
excited
that
to see
version.
it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's our schedule. 3 weeks of A Christmas Carol adaptations to finish the year, and then
Then
yeah,
we're on to Jared's.
The old
Yep.
persons.
The oldies.
darn tootin'.
But in the meantime, if you want to catch us on social media, Jared, where can they find us?
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the funny TikTok. And hey, listen to us on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and if it's YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, ring our bell, and follow us on all those apps.
Make sure to review us, give us 5 stars, and rate us on Spotify.
Oh, and our groovy website.
Absolutely. Makes us look good. So, yes, make sure to, we got tune in. We got awesome holiday content coming your way. It's going to be fantastic. So, from all of us here at All Slate Media, we'll see you guys next time.
Don't gamble and take your pills.